Hello friends, I really hope I am in focus. I've got my glasses on, so I bloody well should be. But can you quite believe it's time for a February TBR already? I cannot. January has flown by and I am not okay with how fast that has gone. But February being just around the corner does mean, one, Polarthon is so very soon. If you have not seen the announcement video for Polarthon 2025, which is my polar bear themed readathon, polar bear themed sounds really dodgy, but it's a charitable readathon to raise money for Polar Bears International. I do it every year. It happens in February. The announcement will be linked down below if you haven't seen that already. But that starts at the beginning of February and I'm so excited about that. And also my trip to Iceland is just around the corner and I'm also stupidly excited about that. And just another little reminder, if you did want to come on a polar adventure of your own with me, I have also got a trip to Scandinavia happening for 2026. I'll leave the link for that down below if you fancy coming on a little adventure with me. Details down below. Anyway, that does mean February TBR is here and I have polar themed reads to get to, as well as some others as well. So I'm not going to ramble for too long. We're just going to dive straight into what I'm going to be reading in the month of February. Firstly will be the February Patreon buddy read, which is Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yamboa. This was, I think, on my January TBR, but I hadn't got to it yet, and at the point of putting the votes up and asking for suggestions for the Patreon buddy read, this was overwhelmingly the winner for what people wanted to do for the buddy read for February. So I have decided to hold off on this until February to do it as the voted for buddy read. This is fantasy, kind of reminiscent of the Night Circus and that sort of vibe. I believe our main character is the owner of a pawn shop. However, on the first day of opening the pawn shop, she finds the place ransacked and her father, who was the owner, has gone missing and all of the acquisitions have been stolen, but they're not like possessions, it's like memories. You can like pawn off your life choices and regrets and give them to this pawn shop, but the acquisitions are stolen and the old owner, her father, has been taken. And then a mysterious stranger comes to the pawn shop, but he's not a regular customer wanting to pawn off his memories. He is willing to help our main character to find her missing... Is it her father? Yes, it is her father. Her name's Hannah. Find her father and the acquisitions, and he is willing to help, and between them, they travel through a mystical world, riding through rain puddles, hitching rides on paper cranes, and across the bridge between midnight and morning, and through a night market in the clouds. It sounds very magical and wondrous, and as I say, kind of Night Circus-esque a little bit, so I'm really excited about this. I think this could be fantastic, so hopefully it goes down well as a buddy read as well. This will be a priority read for February for me. Another priority read for the month of February for me is The House of Frost and Feathers by Lauren Wisebrun. I do not currently own this. It should be arriving in the mail soon, but this is Slavic folklore, fairy tales. It is a Slavic retelling. The world teeters on the edge of eternal slumber. I believe this is like a Baba Yaga story, and I haven't read like a new to me Baba Yaga retelling or Slavic folklore story since The Witch and the Tsar, which I read for Polarthon a couple of years ago at this point, and I am missing that because I love Slavic folklore, I love Slavic fairy tales, I love Baba Yaga and The House with Chicken Legs, the story of and the actual House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson as well, fantastic book. This book includes a magical masked ball, Slavic folklore, a Baba Yaga reimagining, a house on chicken legs, and childhood enemies to lovers. Ooh, a dark enchantment. I don't know enormously what this is actually about, but knowing a Baba Yaga story, there is a curse and a heart that must be protected and so on. I'm probably going to have a really good time with this. I am excited to dive into a new Slavic folklore story because I feel like I haven't had a new one in ages, so I'm looking forward to that. Another one that has cropped up on my radar that wasn't one that I necessarily knew I would be super interested in is North is the Night by Emily Rath. I think I might get this one on my Kindle so I can take it to Iceland and have it on my Kindle to read, because the book is really expensive and the Kindle book is still expensive for a Kindle book, but slightly less expensive. But North is the Night by Emily Rath, which is comped to the Winter Night trilogy, which is the Bear and the Nightingale trilogy by Catherine Arden, which is, over here, again, one of my favourite Slavic folklore-inspired stories. I absolutely adore that trilogy. And do I know anything about North is the Night other than the comp to The Bear and the Nightingale? No. No, I do not. Let's learn together. A feminist fantasy adventure, love that, shows the power of female friendships and how love, both romantic and familial, can conquer even death itself. Oh, it's set in the Finnish wilderness. Best friends, Aina and Siri are inseparable. Aina is gentle and cautious, while Siri is headstrong and brave. Of course, opposites attract. Friendship is put to the test when Aina is kidnapped by a death goddess and taken to the mythical underworld. Siri embarks on a dangerous journey to seek out a mystical shaman so that she can travel to the underworld and then return alive. Dark winter is looming. Oh, this sounds so good and so up my street. I'm so excited. I'm definitely gonna purchase this on my Kindle right now. I just did it. Right in this moment. It's now going to my Kindle. I will be reading that in Iceland. Fun! I'm really excited about that. So there are 2 books that are on my Polarthon TBR. A couple of other books that I would like to get to for Polarthon. One being The Ice Bear Miracle. This is a middle grade that I kept on my shelf specifically for Polarthon, so I should probably read it. It has a polar bear on the cover, and I believe this is about a girl who finds a polar bear? Ooh, Marv Jackson, okay, it follows a boy, has a crescent moon-shaped scar on his face, which is a reminder of the night he survived a bear attack. He was 5 years old, dressed head to toe in ice hockey kit, drawn to the frozen lake by his love of skating, but when Marv thinks back to the moments before the bear attack, he can hear a baby's cry cutting through the night air. Marv knows deep in his heart that the legendary tale of that night isn't quite the full story. The truth can be found at a travelling carnival where a mysterious young girl and her magnificent polar bear skate beneath the northern stars. Well, now I'm way more excited about that. I was basing this entirely off the cover and thought this was a girl who goes ice skating and befriends a polar bear. But no, there is a girl who is friends with a polar bear, but it's more so about the boy who survived the attack and what happened that night. Ooh, I'm intrigued. This should also be a super quick read because there's lots of like little illustration-y bits throughout this. Well, I say lots, there's not actually that many, but there's some. And it is a middle grade, so it should be a quick read. And as I say, one that's been on my shelf, one that survived the middle grade purge, to be read in Polarthon, so I should probably do that. And in a similar vein, we have The Last Bear for the same reason. This makes me nervous to read because I fear that this will make me cry, because this is about a little girl befriending the last bear. It's blurbed by Michael Morpurgo, so you know it's going to make you cry. There are no polar bears left on Bear Island. Very on brand for Polarthon, where we are all about raising funds for Polar Bears International and helping the polar bears, so very on brand for that. At least that's what April's father tells her when his research takes them to an Arctic outpost for 6 months. Arctic exploration. April catches a glimpse of something distinctly bear-shaped loping across the horizon. A polar bear who shouldn't be here, who is hungry, lonely, and a long way from home. As their unlikely bond grows, April is determined to save her new friend, and so begins the biggest, most important journey of her life, a journey to save a bear, and maybe April herself. This could not be more on theme for Polarthon as a readathon, but I am terrified that this is going to make me cry, and not in the way that I would want to be made cry. This is going to rip my heart out. But it's incredibly on theme, so it's going on the TBR. And then closing out this TBR with a couple of non-fictions. I would love to get to the physics of climate change, again thinking on theme with Polarthon and the non-fic prompt, and how the reason that the polar bears are in such peril is because climate change. I think it would be an interesting read. It's one that I have had my eye on for a little while, hence it being on my shelves, and it is one that has worked its way onto my priority list for 2025 as well, so I definitely want to get to it soon. Normally when it comes to non-fic, I am into astrophysics. This is very much a different type of physics for me. Clear, accurate and accessible perspective on climate science and the risks of global inaction. Crass's narrative explores the history of how scientists progressed to our current understanding of the Earth's climate and its future. Its generous complement of informative diagrams and illustrations allows readers to assess which climate predictions are securely based on analysis of empirical data and which are more speculative. I think this could be a really interesting read. And a piece of me has made me thinking like a plane read, so I might take this one to Iceland with me as well. We will see. And closing out with another non-fiction that it just seems like the right time to read, which is The Arctic. A very short introduction. This is a teeny tiny book, but it is teeny tiny, but the writing is also teeny tiny. So this might actually be a bit more dense than I thought it was gonna be. But this is Oxford University Press's short introduction to the Arctic, and it seems like the right time to maybe pick that up. So it's going on the TBR. We'll see if I actually read this properly or what happens to this, because when I look at it, it very much looks like encyclopedia written rather than like accessibly written. We'll see. We'll see how I go with this, but it's on the TBR anyway. And that is everything that I am putting on my TBR, but I will be honest with you, when I was building this list, I was sat staring at my bookshelves for ages thinking I just don't know fully what I'm in the mood for. So this could well change. It could develop, it could evolve. Hopefully I will read a lot more than what is on this list, because it's Polarthon month and I will be donating £2 for every book that I read to Polar Bears International. As I said, I'll leave the link down below for the Polarthon announcement post, which has the link for the donation page and everything if you are at all interested in participating in Polarthon. It is for a good cause, it is a charitable cause, or just a fun readathon if you wanted to join in just for fun. If you're not able to donate, you can of course still just participate in the readathon too. I'm excited about it. I've been doing it for many, many years, and I love the excuse to get into all of my polar, arctic, snowy, icy themed reads. And you know what? I feel like I actually have a fair few to get to. I'm very excited about the North is the Night and the House of Frost and Feathers ones that I don't currently own physically. But I'm really looking forward to those. In fact, I'm looking forward to everything that I've mentioned here, as I always am on a TBR, because if I wasn't looking forward to it, it wouldn't have made it onto the TBR. Anyway, I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop. Thanks for listening to said ramble. Let me know what you're planning on reading in February. Let me know down below if you're participating in Polarthon, what you're planning to read to white out the board. And I shall see you in whatever comes next, which might be a video whilst I'm away? I don't know when this is going up. It might not be. I don't know. But I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye!